So welcome back. We are about to talk about books, and I think what's really overdue is talking about Yukio Mishima's writing, because I am very influenced by Yukio Mishima's writing. I wrote my college thesis on his very infamous insurrection from the 70s. I think that Yukio Mishima is a really tremendous writer, and I would hope to share some of his books with you. So today I'd like to talk about Temple of the Golden Pavilion, which is a novel that he wrote about something in history that shocked many people. Today we're going to talk about the Temple of the Golden Pavilion, which is actually based off of a real historical happening that occurred in Japan in the 20th century. And so I think that because this is something that historically happened, I really have to go out there and say, for the people who don't want to get any spoilers, you're about to get some spoilers, but once again, the whole point of this book was trying to explain a historical event, so it's really not a spoiler. So the Temple of the Golden Pavilion was burnt down in the 20th century after World War II by a Zen monk. And this was a very beautiful temple in Kyoto, and it was a very popular tourist site, and they rebuilt it, and it's still a really one of the most popular tourist sites in Kyoto. And it obviously really shocked people when this monk just went and burnt down the whole thing. And so what Yukio Mishima is asking in this novel is, why would somebody do such a crazy thing? And he went so far as to interview the monk when the monk was in prison a few months before the monk died. And he got the monk's perspective, but I think we can largely say that this is a fictional account of what happened. So this is a really interesting take on Yukio Mishima's writing, because this is not going to be there's no patriotism here. This is a story about how one man, this monk, has a very obsessive relationship with this thing that we call beauty. And what is beauty? Well, Yukio Mishima has a lot of ideas about what beauty is, I can tell you that. And beauty is the thing that Yukio Mishima is always trying to get to the bottom of in his stories. And all of his characters have very different takes on beauty. But one fairly consistent perspective that Yukio Mishima has on beauty is that it's a force in the universe. And Yukio Mishima was really influenced by the German composer Wagner. He was really into Wagner's music, and a lot of his conception of beauty is very similar to what Wagner's conception of beauty would be. So I don't know if you're familiar with the guy who composed Flight of the Valkyries, but there's this very German god flexing his arm, epic connotation that beauty has in Yukio Mishima's works. So this monk is, he has a stutter. And the way that Yukio Mishima describes it is written in the first person. The way that the narrator describes it is, he says that he feels like there's so much that he understands. He is a smart guy, and there's so much that he wishes that he could communicate. But the moment he tries to talk, it's like he's turning a key, and the key's just getting stuck in the lock, and it just won't open. And so this character has a very complex relationship with the world, because he is disadvantaged because of his stutter, and he is unable to break through a linguistic barrier and connect with other people. So from the start, the main character is somebody who is isolated and disaffected, and develops the point of view that there's something wrong with him, and that he starts to think that he's the opposite of beauty. And what he begins to think is the reality and complete embodiment of beauty is the Temple of the Golden Pavilion. Now, there's a really weird subtext to all of this, which is that this main character is a Zen acolyte. Okay, his father was a Buddhist clergyman, and everything that he grew up in had to do with being a Buddhist clergyman. He's learning how to be a Buddhist clergyman. All of his friends are Buddhist clergymen. So he is, I mean, what everybody tries to drill down in his head is the basic principles. Everything changes. Nothing's going to stay here forever. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 merrily. Life is but a dream. That concept, life is but a dream, is what is really it's really beaten into his head. Okay, so the idea that beauty would still have this effect on him is really strange. And I think that the reason why he develops this fixation with the Temple of the Golden Pavilion is that the way that he's able to accept beauty is by understanding it to be something that's a transient phenomenon. And yet he's confronted with something like the Temple of the Golden Pavilion that seems to be immortal. And this really disturbs him. There's a great line in a dialogue he has with a friend of his who's really good at playing the flute about how music is the best art form, according to that character. And that character says, well, the thing about music is that when you play a song or play a piece, it's every single time you play it, it's different. And the moment you play a note, it's gone. It can't come back. And obviously, these days with records and everything, we could replay everything over and over and over again, but this is live music we're talking about. And so the ephemeral and impermanent nature of music, where you experience something that can be such great beauty, and then it just evaporates, and you where was the music? You can't see the music, you can't touch the music, you heard it and it's gone. There's this kind of beauty that the main character can totally accept, but what he just can't wrap his head around is the idea of permanence of beauty. And what he does in burning down the Temple of the Golden Pavilion is he kind of, this psychosis that he's developed is essentially resolved. And he feels, in the same way that you might feel relief when you pick at some acne that you might have, or try to, if maybe if you've ever had something that really just irks you, and you just have to get it out, get rid of it, and it's just every time you look in the mirror it bothers you. That's what he had with the Temple of the Golden Pavilion. He burnt it down, and then it was like everything was fine. So that is the basic premise of the Temple of the Golden Pavilion. If you read this book, you are going to explore some very complex ideas in a very accessible way and in a very interesting way. And you're going to see some really beautiful interactions and very interesting interactions between characters. And what you get with Yukio Mishima's writing is you're going to get the tightest string that you can possibly imagine, and Yukio Mishima is just going to pluck this string. And this is how Yukio Mishima writes. He has extremely tense strings, and he performs for you. So I really love this book, and I encourage you to try it out. So it's been a while since I talked about a book. This is a book that I have really enjoyed. I hope to talk with you more about other books. It's very flattering that there are people out there who are so interested to hear what I have to say about books. And this is obviously for you. So I hope that you're doing okay in this totally crazy environment, and I hope that you are safe wherever you are. You're here with me and Juju, a cat who was just taking a nap until... Oh.